Good day. In this video, I will show you how to define and use segment groups for network level reporting on your network. Once you understand how to define and use segment groups, you will gain access to many of JunoViewer's analysis and reporting features. In this video, we will look mainly at how you define segment groups and use them for basic reporting. Later videos will then delve into details such as batch reporting using segment groups. So to start off with, let's first look at what segment groups are. So we'll start off by looking at JunoViewer's help and see what we can find there about segment groups. So here I am in JunoViewer's help, and I'm just going to type in here segment groups. And if you scroll down, the earlier posts are always towards the bottom. You'll see this post, Understanding Segment Groups in JunoViewer Web. And this help post really explains to you what segment groups are. And as you can see in this image, segment groups allow you to define groups that define certain small segments of your network and put them in certain groups. In this example, we've got this segment 1, segment 3, and segment 5 falling into the group called overlays. And we've got these segments, segment 2, 6, 4, and 7, falling into the group seals. And these two groups both belong to the segment group category 2014 projects. So we've got this concept of segment groups, and groups then belong into categories. So once I've defined this set of segment groups, I will be able to make a comparison across the segment group category 2014 projects, which will compare overlays and seals. Let's look at the details of how we actually do this. So in JunoViewer Web, I go to the Data menu and I go to Segment Groups. So I'm going to start off by just assuming I don't have segment groups, and I'm going to download a template to set up my segment groups. And I'm going to plonk this downloaded file down in here, and let's just open it up and see what this template asks for. So you can see it basically asks us for a name for the group. That would be something like overlay or seal, whatever group name you want to use. We need to provide a network ID, a section ID, name of the section, that's actually optional, the from and to location, and the lane. Now, where are we going to get this information from? Very often, this information is already contained in your ForwardWorks program. So as an example, I've got a prepared ForwardWorks program here, and I'm just going to open it up. And in this ForwardWorks program, which is just a download from JunoViewer that I've cleaned up a bit, I've got my area group names, my area name, section ID, and so forth. You should be quite familiar already with this if you've used the ForwardWorks program features in JunoViewer. And what I'm interested in doing is to use the groupings in this ForwardWorks program as my section groups. And specifically, I want to use this area as one of my groups and also the road class. So what I'm going to do is just copy these columns that contains my section ID and the information I have. And I'm going to copy this all down and put it into my section group template right down here. Right, and I'm going to use this information to help me set up my section group template. So first of all, I want to know the network ID that I'm working with. With this tool, you can actually make comparisons across networks, but I'm just going to look inside one network. And I want to use the network called Network A. So to find the ID of that network, I go back to JunoViewer. I go to the networks table. And I can see network A has got the ID 16. So I must use that ID in my template. So this ID will be 16 across all the roads. And then I get my section ID here, my section name there, my from, to, and lane. And for this template, I'm first going to just use the areas as my grouping. So the name of each group will map to this column, and I am going to just center this nicely put a border around it, and copy it all the way down. Okay, so you can see now I've got my groups here, and I'm going to be able to make comparison across these groups, and my sections are neatly grouped by those names. Now, one thing you'll note is an error we often make with this. You can see my network ID when I drag this around has gone down from 16, 17, 18, and that is going to cause errors when I upload my data. So I'm just going to correct that by doing a copy-paste operation so that all my network IDs are actually 16. So now I can actually upload and test this, but before I do that, I want to create another set of segment groups, and I'm going to first just copy this sheet. So the first thing I will do is just convert all of these values to values instead of formulas by copying and pasting as values. And I'm going to make a copy of this sheet. And then this grouping I'm going to call area names. So that's like neighborhoods. I've actually used neighborhood names, common neighborhood names in New York City. And then this grouping I'm going to call road classes. Okay, so for this one I use all of the same information that I had before, but my group name I'm going to make my road class here. Copy this all the way down, and now I can also copy this and paste it as values. Now that I've got this information already, I can delete this information from my ForwardWorks program. I don't need it, and in any case, if I try to upload it, JunoViewer will complain because you've got more than one section ID column. So I'll delete this. Notice that nothing in my data changed because these formulas have been converted to values. And the same for this sheet, I am just going to delete these columns. So now I'm ready. I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to upload it into JunoViewer, and we'll be ready to use it. So I go to JunoViewer, I go to and first upload the file. This is the file that I have just prepared. And the file has now been uploaded. So now I can go again to segment groups, and I select that file. And you can see JunoViewer picks up that there are two sheets in there, one for each type of segment group. So the first one is road classes. So the group category I'm going to define as road classes. And I'm going to import that set into JunoViewer, and that's successful. And the next one I'm going to do is the sheet called area names, and I'm going to call this group area names. Notice you can call it anything. So for example, I can call this neighborhoods. Okay, so this is the name of my neighborhoods, and I'm going to import this. And now if I go here and I go to neighborhoods and display segment groups, I can see that's all the names of all my neighborhoods. And if I go to road classes and display, these will be the names of my road classes, which are the group names. So having defined these two groups, we are now ready to actually start using it in our data analysis and reporting. So we go to the Views menu, and for this video, I'm just going to do a group compare. There are many other features of segment groups that you can utilize in JunoViewer. I'm going to just demonstrate the very simple one called group compare. And here you can see that JunoViewer has already picked up defined groupings. And I'm going to first focus on the one called neighborhoods. And I'm going to do a comparison of one of my data parameters, which is rut in the left wheel path. I'm going to use my latest available survey. You will have to know your survey dates to put them in here. And I'm going to draw my graph. And there's a comparison now of the rut depth distribution from the 20th percentile to the mean to the 95th percentile. I'm just going to change this statistic setup here by clicking on high-low plot options. and I want to actually compare the 90th percentile to the 10th percentile, with the central tendency being the median value. And I can also here say show minimum and maximum tails. I'm going to take that off and click on OK, and then draw graph to redraw. And there's my comparison across all my neighborhoods on my network for these data groups. Then also I want to compare road classes. I'm going to do the same thing, draw graph, and there's a comparison of the rut across my road classes. If I want to do roughness, for example, NASRA count, I can just change that parameter, draw a graph, and there I get the comparison across my road classes for roughness. There's also another type of graph which we can choose, is the frequency breakdown, which will give us a breakdown in terms of the frequencies of these defined parameters. Let's just have a look at that. Again, I'm looking here at my road classes. Let's just do the same, but this time let's look at neighborhoods. And also, let's look at rut in the left wheel path. And there's my graph comparing the rut breakdown in the for the rut in the left wheel path across different neighborhoods. Now you'll probably wonder, where are these categories coming from? Well, of course, they are defined in your data parameters, which you can define beforehand and then reuse. So let's quickly have a look at that. If I go to settings, and I go to data parameters, and I go to rut in left wheel path, I can see here these are the categories in which my data will be broken down into. And so you can easily redefine these categories, update them, and then go back and redraw your graph if you would like to. So that is it for this short introduction on the use of segment groups. We hope you will use this feature and find it useful. Thanks for watching.